Inside a handful of buildings on a single island, machines are printing patterns smaller than a virus. These patterns become the chips inside your phone, your car, the data centers training artificial intelligence, the systems that move money through banks, even parts of the world's militaries. Now imagine those buildings went quiet, not for a year, just for a few weeks. The result wouldn't only be a technology problem, it would be an economic one, felt in almost every country on Earth. Here's what's strange. Most people have never heard the name of the company that makes these chips. It doesn't sell phones. It doesn't sell cars. You can't buy anything with its logo on it. And yet, by most estimates, it manufactures around 90% of the most advanced chips in the world. One company, on one island. That much of modern life depends on. So how did that happen? How did a single manufacturer become a hidden foundation of the global economy? To understand that, we have to start with what these chips actually are. A semiconductor, a chip, is a tiny tile of silicon with billions of microscopic switches printed onto it. Each switch can be on or off. That's it. But arrange billions of them precisely enough, and they can do math, store memory, and run software. The more switches you can fit into the same space, the faster and more efficient the chip becomes. For decades, engineers have been shrinking those switches, smaller and smaller and smaller. Today, the most advanced ones are only a few atoms wide. And here's the part that matters. A chip isn't just a computer part anymore. It's infrastructure. The way roads carry traffic and pipes carry water, chips carry the logic that runs the modern economy. Which raises the obvious question. If chips are this important, why doesn't every country just make its own? The answer is one of the most underrated business decisions of the last century. The company is called TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. It was founded in 1987 by a man named Morris Chang. At the time, every major chip company did two things. They designed their chips and they built them. Both, under one roof. Chang made a different bet. What if a company did only the second part, the building, and did it better than anyone else on Earth? That sounded almost backwards. Manufacturing was seen as the boring, low-status part of the business. But it turned out to be the hardest part, and the most valuable. Here's the model that changed everything. TSMC doesn't design most of the chips it makes. Instead, the world's biggest technology companies design them. Apple designs the chip inside your iPhone. Nvidia designs the chips that power artificial intelligence. AMD, Qualcomm, and hundreds of others design their own. But almost none of them build their chips themselves. They send the designs to TSMC, and TSMC manufactures them at a level of precision almost no one else can match. This is called being a foundry. TSMC is a factory for other companies' ideas. And because so many companies rely on it, it sits quietly at the center of the entire technology industry. Its customers compete fiercely with each other, and then they all line up at the same door. Building a factory like this takes decades of experience and tens of billions of dollars. That's the moat. You can't simply buy your way in. For years, this was a story most people could ignore. Then came the artificial intelligence boom. Modern AI runs on enormous data centers. Those data centers are filled with specialized chips called GPUs. The most advanced AI GPUs are designed by nvidia. But nvidia doesn't manufacture them. TSMC does. So follow the chain. AI models need computing power. Computing power comes from data centers. Data centers run on GPUs. Those GPUs are designed by nvidia and built by TSMC, which means the race to build artificial intelligence runs straight through one company on one island. The most modern technology in the world depends on one of the most demanding factories ever built. And this is where the story stops being only about business. That island is Taiwan. And Taiwan sits at the center of a long, tense relationship between two of the world's largest powers, the United States and China. The details of that relationship are complex, and we'll keep this factual. What matters here is the economics. Because so much advanced chip making is concentrated in Taiwan, the whole world now has a stake in what happens there. Analysts even have a name for this. They call it the Silicon Shield. The idea that Taiwan's importance to the global chip supply makes the entire world invested in its stability. The United States has responded by spending billions to build more chip factories on its own soil, including new TSMC plants in Arizona. But advanced factories take years to build and even longer to perfect. For now, the concentration remains. So what's actually at stake? Imagine a serious disruption to advanced chip supply. Not the end of the world, just a real interruption. Smartphone production would slow. New cars, which now contain hundreds of chips each, would get harder to build. That already happened in a smaller way during recent shortages. Data centers couldn't expand. The AI boom would stall for lack of hardware. Banks, stock markets, logistics networks, all of them run on computing that ultimately traces back to these chips. And militaries, whose modern systems depend on advanced electronics, would feel it too. Some analysts have estimated the cost of a major disruption in the trillions of dollars. The exact number is debated. The direction is not. This is why a quiet manufacturing company became something governments now plan around. And here's the insight worth keeping. We tend to think the modern world runs on obvious things: oil, banks, governments, armies. But underneath all of them now sits something most people never see. The modern economy runs on microscopic chips, made by a very small number of extraordinarily specialized companies. And the most advanced of them depend, in turn, on a handful of suppliers most people have never heard of. Like a single Dutch company that builds the machines that make the chips possible. It's a tower of dependencies, and almost no one looks at the bottom of it. The most powerful factory in the world doesn't look like a palace, or a central bank, or a military base. It looks like a clean room on an island, where the future is built, one microscopic layer at a time. We're trained to watch the powerful and the loud, but often, the things that quietly run the world are the ones we never think to look at. If you want to understand the hidden systems behind money, power, and technology, subscribe to MechanismRoom. We'll show you the